Wellington has been a happy hunting ground for visiting rugby teams against the New Zealand All Blacks. Already this season we've seen Argentina come from behind and upset the All Blacks in Wellington. Are the Australian Wallabies going to do the same thing this weekend? Let's get into the video and find out. G'day everyone and welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark. We're back outside again today. Yes, the hurricane has moved on, but that doesn't make it any better for the people that are in its path still. So everybody that's in Florida and the northern end of Florida, my wishes go out to you. Please stay safe, get your family protected. Remember, houses and all the material stuff can be replaced, but make sure you get out of the way of this terrible hurricane. It's going to be really bad tonight up there, so we send you all our wishes. Now, if you haven't been here before, my name is Mark. I'm a retired Kiwi bloke. I'm a huge rugby fan and I live in beautiful Mexico. And today I'm going to be talking about the All Blacks. Yes, and they're going to be playing against the Australian Wallabies in Wellington. Yes, the hoodoo ground for the New Zealand All Blacks. Just 2 wins out of the last 9, and they were beaten there by Argentina earlier on in the Rugby Championship this year. So it's really a problem ground for them. And I think it's going to be on their minds for sure when they play against the Wallabies on Saturday. So this is the pre-game show. I'm going to go through the 2 teams. I'm going to talk about what I think is going to happen. I'm going to give you my opinions on the selections that both Razor Robertson and Joe Schmidt have made for this particular test. And I'm going to see what you think as well by reading your comments when you make them in this video. So okay, so let's go through the teams. I'll give you the names of the people in each team, and then I'll give you my opinion on whether I think that's a good selection or not. So we'll start off with Australia, the visitors coming to Wellington this weekend, and we'll start off in their forwards, and their front row is unchanged. We've got Angus Bell, Faisler and Tupou. Really liking this front row for Australia. I think over games to come they're going to grow to be a very good solid front row, and I really like Angus Bell. I think he's a great prop in general play as well. He gets out there and makes some bustling runs. Faisler is starting to grow on me as a player as well. Scored that try, of course, in the last game against the All Blacks last weekend. And Taniela Tupou, well, you never want that big beast running towards you with the ball when he's just 2 or 3 meters out from the line, because you ain't going to stop him. He's a fantastic player. So a good front row for the Wallabies, I think, in this game. Moving on to their locks, and we've got the same locks back. We've got Nick Frost and Williams. I think this is another pair that are going to grow together. I'd like to see a little bit more mongrel in Frost. I think he's a great player in the lineouts, but in general play he just needs to be a little bit more solid. And we saw his replacement come on last weekend and do exactly that in Solokai Lotto, and that's the sort of play I'd like to see from Nick Frost. Joe Schmidt's very lucky with his back loose trio in this game, because he's got Fraser McWright, he's got Rob Valentini, and he's got Harry Wilson back in there again. And it's great to see Fraser McWright back in this Wallaby team. I think he would have been very good for the run last weekend. It was his first one out since he's come back from injury. Expect him to go even better in Wellington this weekend. Rob Valentini keeps delivering for the Wallabies, a great number 6, and expect him to go to another level this weekend in Wellington. I think the Wallabies are going to be really dialed into this game, and Harry Wilson is growing on me as a number 8 and also a leader of this Australian Wallaby forward pack. So that's a very good starting pack for the Wallabies. I'm impressed with them. I think they started doing some very good things in the second half last weekend, but was that down to their bench? And we're going to talk about that today in this video. So let's have a look at the back line here for Australia, and Joe Schmidt's made a few changes which are quite interesting. Starting off at halfback, he's got Jake Gordon in there again. I'm not a huge fan of Jake Gordon, but you know what? He's a good player and he's been doing some good stuff. I'd rather see Tate McDermott starting for the Wallabies. I think he's just got that more intellectual brain when it comes to managing the Wallabies team around the field, and he also brings a lot of pace and energy, and that's what I like about Tate McDermott. Nick White is gone. Maybe too much of this to the referee and some other things that we saw in that game against the All Blacks, and Joe Schmidt decided that Wellington is not going to be a venue where Nick White is going to play his rugby this weekend. So we're going to see Jake Gordon at number 9. Moving outside him and number 10, we've got Noah Lolesio back again for the Wallabies. Need to see more from him in general play. I thought the New Zealand defence took hold of him pretty well in the first half, but in the second half he was one of the catalysts that got this Australian team going. So let's see whether he can start off the game with that in this weekend. His kicking last week was good, particularly from the tee. He kept Australia in the game, and I thought he had a good game from that perspective. So moving outside Lolesio, number 12, we've got Paisami coming back for the Wallabies again. I'm liking this guy. He's doing a lot of good stuff. He's got to be in the game for 80 minutes though, or the period of time that he's going to be on the field, and he can make some good breaks for the Australian Wallabies. So watch out for Hunter Paisami. I rate this guy. I think he's a good inside centre. Outside him, we've got Len Ikitau, and again, another player who on his day can really make a difference in this Wallabies team. We need to see more of the action like we saw him against Argentina in that first game in Argentina. He can cause some damage in the midfield. Whether or not he's going to be on song this weekend, well, we just have to wait and find out. Moving on to the wings, one change here for the Australian starting lineup. We're going to see Pietsch come on one wing, and we're going to see Andrew Callaway come on the other wing. I was impressed with Pietsch when he came off the bench last weekend. Thought he showed a lot of good energy, got a lot of good busting runs against the All Blacks. So to have him starting this weekend, I think is going to be a bonus for the Australian Wallabies. Callaway, as I said in previous videos, he's that winger that does a solid job all the good time, but don't underestimate Andrew Callaway's pace. He's got quite a bit of pace, and if given an open gap, he can find the try line, that's for sure. And then at fullback for the Wallabies, we've got Tom Wright. I've been impressed with this guy all season. He's one of the standout Wallabies so far this year, and given the right platform in front of him, Tom Wright can be very, very dangerous. So watch out for him in the game. I expect to see another good game from him. So I'm pretty impressed with the starting lineup for the Wallabies, and I think what Joe Schmidt's doing this year so far is showing loyalty where he can to players who are in form. And I think that's a really important thing for building confidence in this team. And we saw how that played out in the game against the All Blacks last weekend, didn't we, in Sydney? Okay, let's have a look at the Wallabies bench now, and starting off in the forwards, and we've got Amosa, Kalia, Solokai Lotto, Alalatoa, and Langi Gleeson. I like the look of this bench. We saw what Lotto did last weekend when he came on against the All Blacks. He really gave some emphasis off the bench, and I think it's a good move not starting Lotto for me, for Joe Schmidt, bringing him on to have that impact in the second half when the All Blacks are getting a little bit tired. We saw what he did last weekend, and I think we'll be wanting to see much of the same again from Solokai Lotto. I think Langi Gleeson is getting back into some good form. Great to see him coming off the bench. And I think the front row is also going to be able to do their job against the All Black bench, although Tamaiti Williams is on the bench for the All Blacks, been playing very well this season. So that's the forwards that are going to come off the bench for the Wallabies. I'm pretty impressed with what they've got there. Let's see whether they have the same kind of impact last weekend, because I think they really made a difference in that game against the All Blacks last weekend. Okay, so let's have a look at the reserve backs that are going to come on for the Wallabies, and we're going to see McDermott, we're going to see Donaldson, and we're going to see Fluke. And I think this is a good trio. Ben Donaldson can come on and run the ball, but he can also be a good at kicking. I've already explained what I think about Tate McDermott. He's a good player. He'll make an impact coming off the bench, and Fluke's getting another chance for the Wallabies. So let's see whether he can really make an impact when he comes on. So there's a starting 23 for the Wallabies. Very good team. I think it's going to be about strategy for them, and I'm going to talk about that after I share with you the All Blacks team. So let's get into the All Blacks right now, and we'll start off in their forwards, and it's an unchanged forward lineup for the All Blacks. So we've got Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Tyrell Lomax in the front row. This is the way that Robertson seems to be going with his front row. It's their top front row, I feel. We need to see a little bit more from Tyrell Lomax, but I think Cody Taylor's had an outstanding Rugby Championship, and we all know how good Ethan de Groot is in the scrum. So it's a good solid base for the All Black front row. I think they'll have the advantage over the Wallabies. Okay, let's move on to the locks for the All Blacks, and it's Scott Barrett and Tupou Vai. Tupou Vai, I think, has had an outstanding Rugby Championship. The young man has stood up, shown his place in this All Black team, and he's made it very difficult for Razor Robertson to put him on the bench or not select him, so he's been going very well. Scott Barrett, for me, should not be the captain of the All Blacks. His general play needs to improve a little bit more, but he is a steady rock in there for the All Blacks. I just think the captaincy is weighing on his shoulders too much, and he's not showing the kind of leadership that the All Blacks really need to see on the field, and I think it's one of the problems that's being associated with the All Blacks falling away in the second half of games is the leadership coming from Scott Barrett. Let me know what you think in the comments on that one. On to the loose forwards for the All Blacks, and it's the same three starting at the back. It's Wallace Satiti at 6, Sam Cane at 7, and Ardie Savea at number 8. I've made my point of view clear in previous videos that I'd like to see Wallace Satiti at number 8, and I'd like to see Ardie Savea at number 7. Razor Robertson does not agree with me, obviously, and many of you as well, and he's deciding to go with this trio. Been super impressed with Wallace Satiti in the Rugby Championship in the games that he's played. I think he's been one of the outstanding All Blacks on the field. The young man has got a very bright future ahead of him, and I can't wait to see how he goes again on Saturday. Ardie Savea, I think, really needs to be playing at number 7 for him to be able to exploit the brilliance that he can bring to this All Black team. I just don't think we're getting the best out of Ardie at number 8. And Sam Cane, well, for me, being very selfish as I am, because I'm looking for this All Black team in terms of building towards 2027, I would have been having other players in that 7 jersey, particularly Ardie Savea, as I want to be building my team and my combinations as we head through the bottom part of this year. And unfortunately, because of Sam Cane's decisions to go elsewhere, I think that I wouldn't have him in the team. Now, I know that he's been playing pretty good rugby in the last couple of games, so I won't take that away from him, but I'm just focusing my intention and my opinions around what I think Razor Robertson needs to do to build a Rugby World Cup winning team in 2027. So there we go, that's the All Blacks forwards for this game against the Wallabies. I think they'll do pretty well. They did last weekend, even though we've got a couple of players I feel playing out of position. Let me know what you think in the comments about that one. Okay, moving on to the back line for the All Blacks, and of course there's been a forced change because of Jordie Barrett's injury, but we've also seen some other changes coming from Razor Robertson, which we'd probably expected. I just didn't expect these ones, and I don't really like them, so let's talk about them. Starting at number 9, TJ Perenara is back in, starting again for the All Blacks. You know my feelings about this. Yes, he had a good game against the Wallabies last weekend. He did a couple of good things, but we're not forgetting about the games where he didn't perform well, where his box kicking was no good. He was too slow from distributing, and he was mouthing off at the referee. Now, we can't forget those things, in my opinion, because those are TJ Perenara's DNA. That's why he's been not the favourite halfback in my opinion, but Razor Robertson has gone with him again, and we're going to see him starting at number 9 for this game. And then moving outside number 9, we've got Beauden Barrett in at number 10, and I know a lot of you have been saying that Beauden Barrett should be the All Blacks number 10. Well, I'm sorry, I disagree. Again, I'm looking forward to the Rugby World Cup in 2027. I think Razor needs to be building his squad and depth of players across all positions, and I don't see Beauden Barrett playing number 10 for the All Blacks in that Rugby World Cup. And I don't think he should be playing him now. I think this is the time, once again, like I've seen in all my videos, that I think Razor Robertson needs to be bleeding in the younger players. I would have loved to seen Harry Plummer get a go for the entire time of this game. He got 3 minutes last weekend, and now we don't see him in this All Black team. So it's really disappointing from my point of view. And I expect Beauden Barrett, well, he can run hot and cold at number 10, so you don't know what you're going to get. His kicking can sometimes be very dubious indeed. So let's see how he actually performs. Now, even if he has a brilliant game, I'm still not going to be an advocate of Beauden Barrett playing at number 10, because moving forward, I think the All Blacks needs to increase their stock at number 10. And because I've been outspoken against Damien McKenzie, I don't think that we've got enough depth around the number 10 getting opportunities for the All Blacks at the moment. That's my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, so Jordie Barrett's out. So who did Razor Robertson pick to go in at number 12? Well, it was the safe and conservative pick, of course, of Anton Leonard-Brown, and we have Rieko Ioane outside of him again. So again, we're not seeing the opportunity of change and making these other players have an opportunity, like Billy Proctor coming into the team. Some of you have even said we'd love to see Caleb Clark at number 12 and create another kind of Nonu for the New Zealand All Blacks. I would love to see that. That's creative thinking, that's innovation, and that's the sort of thing that the coach should be trying to do in these kinds of games, I think. But no, we've got this boring conservative approach again, and Anton Leonard-Brown's coming in and Rieko Ioane. The reason I don't like Anton Leonard-Brown that much is because when he has come on for games with the All Blacks and they've lost, he hasn't played a big role in turning that around. I don't think he's one of those big impactful players. He's got the skill sets, he's pretty safe and sure on accounts, but we need someone that's really going to break the line, like a Bundy Arki or a Damien Deolandi in the All Blacks. And an Anton Leonard-Brown, it's not just the guy for me. That's my opinion. And Rico Ioane, well, I've been talking about that. Some of you have said he should be on the wing. I probably agree. Give him a go there and see how he goes. But at outside centre, it's just not working for me. And when you've got a guy like Billy Proctor with the potential that he has sitting on the bench, or in this case, not even on the bench, I get really disappointed around these All Black selections at the moment. Okay, there's my 2 cents worth. Now moving out to the wings, we've got Caleb Clark on one wing, but we've got Sevu Reece back again. And again, I'm shaking my head. I just don't think this is the way for the All Blacks to go, because Will Jordan's gone to fullback. And I know that a lot of you have been screaming out that that's the future for Will Jordan. Well, I'm one of the guys that are saying that he should stick on the wing and produce his goods there for the All Blacks. So let's see how he goes at fullback again this weekend. And I'm sure if he has a good game, you're all going to let me know in the comments anyway. So there we go, that's the back line. I'm not happy with 9, I'm not happy with 10, I'm not happy with 12 or 13, and I've got a question mark over Sevu Reece and Will Jordan. So for me, the positional players in the back line for the All Blacks are not matching up. I would have liked to seen Caleb Clark get a go at number 12 in this game, Billy Proctor at 13, Will Jordan on the wing, Beauden Barrett back there at fullback again, or even try Damien McKenzie at fullback. But stay away from McKenzie at 10, put Plummer in there, or even Stephen Perifetta if he's got a chance. And I know that Ruben Love is injured unfortunately at the moment, but I would have been giving him a go in there as well. That's what my thinking is around the All Black backline. Let me know what yours is in the comments. Okay, so now let's talk about the All Black bench, because as we know, in the second half of games they've been failing immensely. We've been looking for impact, we've been looking for points on the board, and so far the benches haven't delivered that. So when I read out these names, you let me know if you think, yes, this bench is going to make an impact, yes, this bench is going to score points for the All Blacks. Let me know in the comments. Okay, let's start off in the forwards, and we've got Asafo Amua, Taimati Williams, and Tossi's coming back again, which is great. And we're finally seeing Patrick Tuipulotu back in for the All Blacks, and Luke Jacobson for the forwards. So Tuipulotu has been out with injury, of course. He's had a week back in domestic rugby. Now Razor reckons he's ready to go to come off the bench for the All Blacks. And this is a good thing, because I think Tuipulotu is playing good rugby this year. We need to see him back in this All Black team. And I think he's going to be a very important member of the squad as we go on the Northern Tour. So there we go. That's the bench. Are they going to make an impact? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you. And then moving into the backs, and we're going to see Cortez Ratama come off the bench, Damien McKenzie come off the bench, and David Havili. Yeah, I know, exactly. But yes, that's what Razor's chosen for this game. Now, I think if Damien McKenzie is going to be part of this All Blacks team, then on the bench, coming off and making an impact is probably the right place to go. So let's see how he goes. Now, what I want to see from this All Black bench is impact when they come on. I want to see points being scored. I don't want to see yellow cards, and I want to see the forwards dominating when they come on. And I know the likes of Taimati Williams can do that, and Tossi can do that, and I'm sure Patrick Tuipulotu and Jacobson can do that. But the proof is in the pudding. These guys need to deliver. The same with the backs. We need to see consistency. And that Ratama is not an impact player off the bench, and it's the wrong position to play him in this All Blacks 23. That's just my opinion. I'd rather see him starting the game. And if TJ Perenara is going to be selected, then come off the bench like he did last week and do a couple of good things in terms of, in that position, he was saving points for the All Blacks. But we need to see someone come on that can actually score points and take the game forward for the All Blacks, and that's what we haven't been seeing in the Rugby Championship so far this season. Okay, so let's talk strategy. Well, first of all, we've got the Wellington Hoodoo. It is a factor. 2 wins from the last 9, beaten there by Argentina this year. The Wallabies are going to go there with so much self-belief after how they finished out that game against the All Blacks last weekend, knowing the All Blacks are stumbling at Wellington. I don't like the venue. I think it's very unappealing as far as atmosphere goes. There's going to be a sellout crowd. That might make a little bit of a difference. I'm not too sure what the weather's going to do yet. That always has a play in Wellington. So the All Blacks are already up against it as far as I'm concerned. Now, this is the last game for the Wallabies before they head off on their Northern Tour as well. And I think if the Wallabies want to put an exclamation mark on their season this year, beating the All Blacks in New Zealand, in Wellington, could do that. This is a huge game for Joe Schmidt and his team, I believe, and I think they'll be throwing everything they can at the All Blacks. let's face it, if they had a better half last weekend in the first half, they would have beaten the All Blacks in that game in Sydney, and they'll be focusing on the first 30 minutes of this game without a doubt. So for me, the All Blacks have to score heavily points again in the first 30 minutes of the game, and for the Wallabies, they have to stop that from happening, because I think if the Wallabies are in with a shout at half time, this is going to be a cliffhanger, and the Wallabies can come out on top if they play well like they did in the second half and have the impact from their bench. So for me, the All Black forwards have been playing pretty well this season and growing in stature from game to game. The problem has been in the back line. And with TJ Perenara at 9 and Beauden Barrett at 10, I've got a lot of nerves around that. I just don't know which way it's going to go. TJ Perenara could be too slow. He could be caught out again with his box kicking. Beauden Barrett could make the wrong decisions at number 10. His kicking day could be off, and the All Blacks could find themselves in all sorts of trouble. And we don't have Jordie Barrett at 12 to take over the general kicking if he has a problem. Anton Leonard-Brown played well against Fiji when he was inside Billy Proctor, and that was the reason I'd like to see those two guys together again. But Rieko Ioane hasn't been filling me with a lot of confidence so far this season. So for me, that matchup in 12 and 13 is not dynamic, and it's not giving me a lot of reassurances. And with Sevu Reece on the wing, I think we've got another weak link there as well. Will Jordan could do anything at fullback, but again, if the team's under pressure, he gets a lot of high balls. If we've got a windy day in Wellington and we see Will Jordan under some pressure at fullback, that could go any way as well. So this could be a lot of danger for the All Blacks. I know I'm not coming across with a lot of positivity here, because I think there's a lot of positional issues going on in the All Black backline, and I think that in turn is putting them under pressure. I think we need to see some bold selections and give the young guys an opportunity to show what they can do in this All Black team. And people are starting to say, well, if you put young guys in, you can have a loss, and that's a bad thing for the All Blacks. Well, if you put the young guys in, you could have a good win as well, because they could actually play better than what you think they can. And that's how I see it. I think the young players are going to bring an opportunity for this All Black team to move forward. The bottom line is this: if the All Blacks have a good lead at half time, I don't see the Wallabies chasing them down like last week. But if the Wallabies are staying in touch with the All Blacks at half-time, and I mean by about 5 or 7 points, they're definitely in with a shout to beat the All Blacks in Wellington on Saturday. So there you go. Those are my thoughts around the game. Let me know in the comments what you think. I know I'm pretty passionate around these selections for the All Blacks. The reason I'm saying these things is I want to see the All Blacks building towards the Rugby World Cup. I want to see Razor doing similar things to what Rassie's doing, with building depth across different positions. And by having people like Beauden Barrett and Sam Cane, who are on their way out of this All Blacks team eventually, are not giving us the opportunity to build the depth. And that's why I'm not okay with Beauden Barrett playing at number 10 this weekend. But let's see how he goes, and if the All Blacks win, then everybody's going to say it was a brilliant decision and Beauden Barrett should be there. But let me remind you of this: we're still going to have a lack of depth in the number 10 position as we go into next year. The game starts at 1 AM here local time in Cancun on Saturday morning, folks. So I'm going to be doing a video post-game straight after the game at about 3 or 4 AM. So please come back and support me for that one. I'll give you all my immediate emotions after the game and what I thought about it, whether it's a win for the All Blacks or whether it's a loss for the All Blacks. And then I'll be getting ready for the South African game, which kicks off here local time for me at 9 AM on Saturday morning. And again, with that one, I'll be giving you my post-game show straight afterwards. So we've got plenty of rugby coming up here on Inside Rugby this weekend with Mark. If you're enjoying the content of this channel, let me remind you of a couple of things. First of all, over 80% of you who are watching my videos are not yet subscribed. That gives me a bit of heart pain, folks. All of you are watching this stuff and not prepared to support the channel at that level. But here's 5 ways that you can support the channel, and I'd be really grateful if you choose one or more of these ways to support the channel. Maybe one of the ways you want to support me is by following me on Twitter as well, or X, because I'm dropping a lot of rugby content over there. Maybe another way is to give the video a like or actually subscribe to the channel. So please choose one or more of these ways that I've got on the screen for you now to help me with my journey on YouTube. I appreciate it very, very much. Okay then, that's it for this particular episode. I want to thank you all very much for watching it. You stay safe, stay well, and of course, if you're in the way of this hurricane that's coming towards Florida this weekend, please take care of yourselves. It's going to be a nasty one, and I hope you all get through it very well. Until next time, it's time to say adios from beautiful Cancun in Mexico. My name is Mark. This is Inside Rugby with Mark. I'll see you again really soon. Bye for now.